You paused here for a reason because something deep within you already recognized that this message was meant to find you. That strange emotional heaviness you experienced yesterday was not simply imagination. It was your spirit sensing a shift before your mind could fully explain it. Somewhere far away, someone reached an emotional limit, and the energy from that moment traveled through a connection that was never completely broken, only stretched over time. Whether you were focused on work, moving through your normal routine, or trying to relax for the night, that sudden hollow feeling in your chest was not meaningless. It was a real emotional link pulling tighter. It was the echo of another person's emotional collapse touching you from a distance. This message reached you because your intuition guided you toward the truth of what unfolded. For a very long time, this person tried to create distance between you, convincing themselves they could continue life without you and that eventually the memories would disappear. But yesterday, that emotional wall finally cracked apart. Everything they buried deep inside came rushing back all at once. The pressure became too strong to contain, and the release was so intense that your own body reacted to it with restlessness and unease. You may have tried to explain it away as stress, exhaustion, or simple anxiety, but your deeper self understands there was more behind it. This person is moving through a painful inner chapter where distractions no longer silence the memories connected to you. Their emotional balance has been shaken in a serious and undeniable way. If this message feels familiar in your soul, hit like so others who need this message can receive it too. What happened yesterday occurred because the emotional container they kept hidden inside finally overflowed. Every thought they avoided, every emotion they buried, and every urge to contact you that they swallowed just to appear strong kept building pressure inside them until they could no longer carry it. At the same time, as you slowly began turning your energy back toward yourself and stopped holding on so tightly, they started feeling the true depth of your absence more clearly than before. They realized nobody understands them in the same way you once did. Nobody sees beneath their surface the way you could. Even if pride prevents them from speaking directly to you, their energy already reached out long before words ever could. The reason you suddenly felt watched, called toward them, or emotionally pulled is because they are moving through emotional darkness, and somewhere inside, you still feel like the only source of warmth they can see. Yesterday, the comparisons would not stop inside their mind. No matter what they did, your presence kept returning to their thoughts again and again. Emotional waves like this often appear as unexplained worry or sadness without any visible reason. From the outside, their life may still appear steady. Their work may seem normal. Their routine may look unchanged, and people around them might assume everything is fine. But internally, they felt something becoming impossible to ignore. Deep down, they sensed that time was moving forward, while pride continued costing them more than they expected. Comment, I felt it. If you sensed their energy yesterday too. There is a strong chance they stared at their phone longer than usual, typed messages they never sent, searched your profile, or looked for any sign that you were still connected to their world. These actions did not come from simple curiosity. They came from emotional desperation. Yesterday, they felt your absence more strongly than ever because the emotional walls they depended on finally weakened. When the outer self becomes exhausted from resisting emotions, the deeper self finally steps forward. And their deeper self wants only one thing now, to return to the place that once felt emotionally safe and familiar. In their heart, that place is connected to you. The intensity of what they felt also brought painful confusion and regret about the choices they made in the past. Questions kept repeating inside them. Why did they pull away? Why did they allow distance to grow wider? Why did they choose silence instead of honesty? Regret and guilt become extremely heavy burdens over time, and that weight is exactly what they are carrying now. When we say they are struggling emotionally, it is not an exaggeration. It is the reality of their current inner state. They are trapped between longing for you and fearing what could happen if they finally reach out. They miss you deeply, yet they wonder whether they would still be welcomed. They want to speak, but the fear of rejection freezes them before they act. That emotional conflict creates a strong stream of energy directed straight toward you. You became the receiver of that emotional storm. That is why your spirit felt restless yesterday. You absorbed the impact of their emotional breakdown, even if you could not fully explain it at the time. They may have tried to ignore their feelings, distract themselves with work, force themselves to sleep, or bury everything beneath daily responsibilities. But emotions are like water. No matter how hard someone tries to stop them, they always find a path eventually. Yesterday, that emotional wave became impossible for them to hold back any longer. They are beginning to understand that you became part of their life in a way that cannot simply be erased. Your connection left a permanent mark on them. For someone who normally runs away from deep emotions, that realization is frightening. The fear they are carrying became the uneasiness you sensed inside yourself. It is the panic of recognizing a mistake while having no idea how to repair the damage that was done. And that fear did not stay only inside their thoughts. Their body reacted too. Missing someone deeply affects the physical body as much as the mind. Yesterday, those physical reactions became especially strong because their body could no longer deny what their heart was feeling. Now, ordinary daily life feels heavier for them. They struggle to focus. They feel emotionally drained, distracted, restless, and overwhelmed as the truth of losing you settles more deeply into their spirit. If you could quietly observe them when nobody else is around, you would notice clear signs that your energy still affects their inner world in a powerful way. You would see that without even realizing it, they are no longer fully in control of their reactions. What makes this connection so intense is that it goes beyond thoughts and emotions. It moves into the physical world itself. If you could see them right now, you would notice their body responding in ways their logical mind cannot easily explain or control. The human body is incredibly sensitive to emotional energy. When feelings remain suppressed for too long and the soul cries out beneath the surface, the body eventually answers. Type yes if you want me to reveal what is truly happening with them right now. What this person experienced yesterday, and what still continues today, is not ordinary missing or simple loneliness. It is a deep physical reaction to your absence. Their entire system is responding as though something important has been removed from their life. They are not merely thinking about you from time to time. Their whole being is showing signs of emotional exhaustion and energetic loss. The mental strength they have been forcing themselves to maintain in order to stay distant is beginning to break down physically. This confuses and frustrates them because logically they believe they should already be okay and moving forward with life. Yet their body keeps telling a completely different story. One of the strongest signs they are experiencing now is a strange heaviness around the center of their chest. It is not exactly pain and not something easily explained medically. It feels more like pressure, tightness, or the sensation that the air around them has become heavier, even while they continue breathing normally. That feeling is the body carrying all the words they never spoke aloud and every emotion they pushed aside for too long. It is love without expression. It is emotion without release. It is the weight of feelings that stayed hidden until they could no longer remain buried. And now those emotions have nowhere left to hide. Yesterday, this pressure most likely became even more intense. There may have been a moment when they suddenly paused in the middle of the day, inhaled deeply without meaning to, or pressed a hand against their chest as though trying to calm something painfully heavy inside them. What they were feeling was not simple physical discomfort, but emotional heaviness. It is the deep awareness stored within their nervous system that they are far away from the place where they truly feel connected. Their body recognizes the distance even when their mind refuses to fully admit it. Along with this sensation comes something you may also recognize because perhaps you have experienced it yourself at some stage. It is the strange pattern of waking too early, opening their eyes at almost the same hour every night, and feeling uneasy without understanding why. Their sleep no longer feels calm or complete. They may drift into sleep from exhaustion, yet the rest itself remains fragile and interrupted. Their body never completely relaxes. Yesterday, there is a strong possibility they suddenly woke sometime between 3 and 4 in the morning. It may have felt as though someone quietly whispered their name, or as if the energy in the room shifted during the silence of the night. When the mind becomes quiet and the distractions of the outside world disappear, their thoughts move directly toward you. This is not something they consciously choose. It simply happens on its own. They turn repeatedly from one side to another, trying to find ease and comfort. But the bed feels crowded with memories from the past. The pillow carries images of what once existed and questions about what could have happened differently. This sudden awakening is the body's response to the energy you carry, or to the empty place left behind when you withdrew your attention. The silence becomes louder than noise itself, and your presence feels most powerful when the rest of the world is asleep and still. Another very strong sign of what they are currently experiencing is a deep exhaustion that remains no matter how much they try to rest. This is not ordinary tiredness. It is a draining heaviness that causes even the simplest daily activities to feel difficult. Walking, speaking, or completing normal tasks suddenly requires more effort than it once did. This exhaustion comes from the constant inner conflict they fight every single day. Imagine how much energy it takes trying to convince yourself that someone deeply important no longer matters to you. Imagine the pressure of pretending everything is normal while denying what your heart already knows to be true. Their mind continues saying no, while their heart continues whispering yes. This endless inner struggle slowly consumes their energy. It leaves them emotionally empty and disconnected from themselves. That is why yesterday, and perhaps even today, they feel emotionally numb and without motivation, as though they are moving through life without truly feeling alive inside. People around them may have already noticed that something feels different about them. Their eyes no longer shine the same way. Their usual spark seems dimmer. The energy they once carried so naturally feels absent now. The strength that quietly grew through your presence suddenly feels distant and unreachable, and they do not know how to restore it. Changes in appetite often appear together with this emotional condition. The stomach, which reacts quickly to emotional stress, tightens when the fear of separation becomes too strong. Comment connected. If you have been sensing their energy very strongly lately, they may be experiencing a tight knot in their stomach that makes eating feel difficult or completely unappealing. Or they may go through moments of sudden hunger, eating quickly without enjoyment, trying to fill an emotional emptiness that food itself can never truly satisfy. Yesterday, meals probably felt bland and lifeless to them. Even the foods they usually enjoy may have seemed without comfort or meaning. This happens because deep inside, their emotional sense of fulfillment is tied closely to you. When the soul does not receive the connection it longs for, the body slowly loses interest in ordinary pleasures. This is one of the simplest forms of sadness, something their body is processing quietly, even if their conscious mind refuses to call it sadness directly. Even their senses continue searching for you without permission. Their mind creates small illusions in order to cope with the feelings inside them. Yesterday, they may have thought they saw you among strangers, or suddenly felt certain they heard your voice somewhere crowded and noisy. Smell, which is deeply connected to memory, begins playing tricks on them as well. A familiar scent suddenly passes by and immediately reminds them of you, your energy, or simply the way they felt whenever they were near you. Even in places where it would make no sense for you to appear, their mind continues desperately searching for signs of your presence. It wants proof that somehow you are still close. Their mind places your image into the world around them because the emptiness feels too painful to fully accept. Yesterday, they may have quickly turned their head believing for a brief second that you were standing there. And when they realized you were not, the emptiness inside them likely deepened even further. Their body searches for you the same way dry earth longs for rain. This natural searching is clear evidence that even if they remain silent outwardly, every part of their being continues calling toward you. This is not fantasy or wishful imagination. It follows a natural pattern of the mind and body, something that was observed and explained long ago by thinkers who deeply studied emotional bonds and human connection. Comment heavy. If yesterday felt unusually emotional or overwhelming for you, understanding why their body reacts this way to your unseen energy changes something inside you. Doubt slowly begins to disappear. A feeling of calm replaces confusion because your inner knowing starts making sense. You finally understand why this person may have felt themselves emotionally breaking yesterday, even though you were nowhere physically near them. You understand why, even without messages, conversations, or physical contact, you were still able to feel their emotional state so strongly. At this point, we should look toward the wisdom of one of the greatest explorers of the human mind, Carl Jung. Even though he lived many decades ago, he understood something that modern psychological understanding continues confirming every day. At the deepest level of existence, human beings are not truly separate from one another. What appears divided on the surface is connected in ways that ordinary eyes cannot easily see. He explained that our minds are not isolated like lonely islands floating in an empty sea. Instead, they belong to something much larger, a vast shared field of awareness, a deep ocean of consciousness where everything remains connected underneath the surface. We may believe we are independent and completely separated, but beneath that illusion, there is always communication taking place. He called this deeper level the collective unconscious. To imagine it more clearly today, think of it as an invisible network, like a silent signal stretching across the universe itself. Every human being remains connected to it constantly, whether they realize it or not. There is no switch capable of turning it off. The connection always remains. Picture this idea carefully. You and this person are like two trees growing very far apart from one another. Above the ground, they appear completely unrelated. Each tree has its own trunk, its own branches, its own space, and its own path of growth. From the surface, there seems to be no connection whatsoever. Yet deep beneath the earth, their roots continue stretching outward. Over time, those roots eventually touch, intertwine, and quietly merge far below the surface. Through these hidden roots, nourishment passes back and forth. Signals travel silently. Warnings move through the underground network without being seen. When one tree experiences stress, damage, or sudden change, the other receives that message through the unseen system beneath the soil.